All right, so has everyone had a chance to read over the employment articles and the two tough calls?
Hmm.
Yep.
Perfect. Um, so let's go with Anya. Would you be able to explain what employment at will is?
Yes. Can I hold on? Give me one. Let me go get. Let me go to the article. Okay. Hi. So can I read what this says here?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the employment at will doctrine applies only where the employment relationship lacks specific duration. So, specifically the rule that an employment contract of indefinite duration, absent reasonable cause for discharge, was presumed to extend for 1 year. Yeah, it's like there's just a lot of information on this. So
Yeah,
it's saying at will, meaning like employees can quit at any time, and the employer can discharge the employee at any time for any or no reason or without notice.
yeah, exactly. So it basically gives the employer a way to fire an employee for anything, really, and he doesn't have to specify why he's firing that employee. Good. Anyone else want to go over the exceptions?
Isn't one exception like if they sign a contract, then they have to fulfill that contract?
Yeah.
Mhm. Like breach of implied contract?
Right.
And
Or
there's the
like,
violation of public policies.
Yeah, I'll read it here. It says the definition. This is a contract between the employer and employee that is created by the actions of the employer. The employer could imply that the employees will have continued employment by making statements about how well the employee is doing. The employer could also create an implied contract through an employment manual that details termination practices. For example, a three-strike policy
Mm-hmm.
um, that says they have to give you notice before firing you. And then there were a couple others like breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, where an employer unfairly tries to avoid doing what they agreed to do under the contract, terminating an employee. Or another exception is violation of public policy, which is when an employer fires an employee for refusing to commit an unlawful act or serving on jury duty, blowing the whistle, filing for workers' comp, refusing to date one's boss, etc. So, and then the last one it says is discrimination status. The statutes that we covered previously were Title VII, which covers race, national origin, gender, and religion, and then the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Age Discrimination and Employment Act. We went over the age discrimination a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, so in the Two Tough Calls article, it talked about Terry and it talked about Phil. What impact does Terry have on the company's bottom line?
sounds like, well, from what I got, of an impact at all. They've given him jobs that are, really
Mm-hmm.
unimportant, and like if he fails, then nobody really noticed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Seems like it's more costly and I don't know. Like to keep him around seems worse than to get rid of him.
Yeah, he's only there because he's buddies with everyone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't he their scuba diving instructor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so they sort of brought him on probably just to have a good time.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with Amy in that they're losing money by having him there. If he's literally not making a difference in the company, and if he just flies under the radar all the time, what good is he really doing?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's just filling space is all.
Mhm.
And so, what impact does Phil have on the bottom line?
They just put him in the call center, and he doesn't really make a difference. I don't need him.
Yeah.
Like, he's a call center manager. That's what he is, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's right.
They just created a position for him, so
Yeah.
they also don't need him.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
they said that he wasn't like technical at all, and
No.
their work was very technical, and
Right.
he had no background on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just put there because they didn't want to fire him.
Well, and he cost a lot of people money, especially when he got sick. People donated their vacation, and they did a lot for him, and he didn't improve after he got better. Like in his job, if anything, he got a little worse. So he just keeps costing money.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. What obligation does a manager have to the company based on the information of Terry and how he doesn't really do much around the company? What should the manager do?
I think he
If they're
should
not
report.
like benefiting the team or benefiting the company at all, they really shouldn't be working there. I mean, she's gonna make enemies because she's gonna have to fire their guys' buddy, but I mean, in the end, they're not benefiting having him there at all.
Yeah, I agree. If you're afraid of offending someone, then maybe business is not for you,
Yeah.
Hmm.
because you're going to have to do things you don't want to do, such as firing somebody because for the better cause of the company. Um, great. So the next question. Based on what we've learned about employment at will and exceptions, what legal obligations could the manager have to Terry or to Phil?
I can't remember. I'm sorry. It looks
Sorry.
like you're good. It sounds like Phil's been there for like 6 years, which is it's like
Yeah.
kind of a long time. And where he's not a new employee, that'd be harder. It's harder to let go of him, and to make a decision like that.
But also, if he didn't get promoted after 2 years, was it?
Yeah, was it
That
3 years or 2?
yeah, 3 years, I think. Like
Hmm.
most people, so it's saying most people got promoted after 3 years and have actually improved and do well in their jobs, and he hasn't been promoted. It's just,
Yeah, he even asked for a promotion,
yeah,
and then they just put it off.
yeah, and yeah. And well, and he's always getting rated like 3.5 out of 4 on this, on the scale. And then everybody was expecting him to get at least a 3. We're talking about Phil, right?
Yeah.
Actually, both of them got.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we're talking about Terry. Sorry.
They both got a 2.5.
Yeah, they both got 2. Yeah.
But I think it said that Terry had put himself at a 3.
So he knows that he's not even doing a good job at work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember reading it said that like the boss wanted him fired, and Phil even knew that because of his performance, especially after he came back to work.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I like the part that said that they can't fire him for his age because he's 40. Like we kind of talked about that a couple weeks ago. And then it says, I don't remember ever being told you can't fire someone because they've been sick a lot. I think that would kind of be a tough position to be in because like he just came back and you don't want to be like, well, we helped you with all this stuff, but now you gotta go. but you also don't want to keep him around to keep thinking he can maybe take advantage of people. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be hard.
Yeah, it'd be hard with that disability.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be harder to get rid of Phil than it would be to get rid of Terry.
Sorry, what'd you say?
It'd be harder to get rid of him.
Oh,
Harder to get rid of Phil than Terry.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like however, with Phil, like most people did not like him, and they won't miss him. But with Terry, I feel like she will gain a lot of hatred or enemies or negative uh, feedback, I guess, because everybody likes Terry, or most
Yeah.
people do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what ethical obligations does the manager have to Terry? Is the job still owed to Terry?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, even in the interview, it says that he wasn't qualified for any of the, like, wasn't even qualified for the position in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any ethical obligations the manager owes to Phil?
Phil would probably say like they're being unfair because of his health. But, if you look at it, just like at his performance, he was bad before he was even diagnosed with his health problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could easily fire him for his performance and not even mention his health.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because based on what we've read, it's not because of his health why it went spiraling down. It's just him.
Yeah.
Cool. What ethical obligation does the manager have to the company? I personally think that the manager has the obligation to get rid of these two employees because they're costing the company money.
Mhm.
And it's the manager's responsibility to bring in as high of profits as possible.
agreed.
Yep.
It's not fair to everyone else if these guys only have to be doing 2.5 work, but they all have to be expected to be doing 3.5 or 4 work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the manager, how she said that she's super blunt.
Mhm.
And she will
Mhm.
also praise you if you do a good job. And she will let you know if you're not doing a good job. So she's, in a way, she's obligating herself to be honest with these two men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. What ethical obligation does the manager have to the other employees?
I think it's kind of already brought up, but just because everybody else is expected to work, at that high level, these two employees should be as well. It's not fair that they, only do half the workload or just stay under the radar and there's no consequences.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, what ethical obligation does the manager have to herself?
Well, I think, like at the beginning of the reading, and Anya even brought it up, but the fact that she said that this is the type of person that she is, that she's blunt, she'll call you out if you're not doing your job right. She needs to uphold by her own standards and let them know you're not doing your job, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think also if she wants to have a good team, like an obligation to herself is she needs to make sure that she has good people on her team, and keeping them probably it could bring down the work for other people, like other employees, so then she all of a sudden has this crappy team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Now, how well would you guys say that the company is doing with their HR practices?
from what it sounds like they're not doing enough as far as like giving giving their employees advice, whether they've done well or whether they need to improve. It sounds like they kind of fall in that aspect of things.
Yeah.
Seems like they need a better recruiting system rather than just, oh, hey, we hang out with you. You should come apply.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that too, especially. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's definitely important. How well do they hire, would you guys say? Amy touched on this, but do you think they should implement new hiring strategies?
Yeah, I think there should be like a model for, their ideal candidate for, any given position, and those who are being interviewed, they should fall into that category. And if their resume, doesn't follow that pattern, they shouldn't even be brought in for an interview unless they feel so. But
Yeah.
there needs to be some sort of order.
Yeah, I think a lot of time is wasted when they bring in the wrong people, when they bring in people that aren't qualified. Just a lot of time is wasted and a lot of opportunities wasted too. Their opportunity cost is really high because they could have someone else in that place earning more money or earning higher profits.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they manage people and give them feedback? What would you say, Anya? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do they manage people and give feedback? 10 being remarkable.
I would say in the middle. They're not great. They're not the worst.
Mhm.
But I mean, she's the only one that actually gives good feedback, and I think the other managers can learn from her.
Mhm.
Well, actually, maybe they're worse than 5. I don't know, because not a lot of employees know how they're performing.
Yeah.
And they gave the previous or whoever gave Terry, good score only because they liked him as a person, not as a worker.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they have a lot of improvement.
Yeah. Now I know as myself, like being an employee, I value what my bosses think of me a lot. And like I work super hard at work so that I can get the job done. And like I'm not a lazy person at work or anything. But it goes a long ways when the bosses say something like, "Oh, you're doing a great job,"
Oh yeah.
or here's a raise where we appreciate what you're doing. That goes a long ways, and it helps the employees realize that the managers have their best interests at mind, other than trying to raise profits in the company. So
Oh, I completely agree. In my company, none of the workers, we don't really feel appreciated. They never acknowledge when we do a good job, and they're quick to blame or quick to assume.
Mhm.
If you miss, one example, one of my clients, she was out of town, and her mother forgot to give her medication, and when she came back, she kept the medication in the packet, and then the nurse, the head nurse for the whole company, she was about to yell at me because she thought I missed the medications when in reality the client was gone, and her mother missed the medication, and she didn't check to see why or what happened. She just wants to yell at people. And it happens a lot in my company. We don't, and I don't know when the last time I heard thank you or good job, and so I hate it.
Mhm.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So definitely.
and then do employees get a clear picture from the company of how they're performing? I think we went over this, the employees are sort of lost. They don't really
Yeah.
know how they're doing
Yeah.
because they don't get much feedback.
It says they're doing performance reviews every 6 months, but it doesn't seem like they're giving them all the information that they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm guessing it's probably just like, what's up? What do you like about work? Or it doesn't seem like they make, have their employees like set goals and like aim to receive like promotions or anything like that. It's just they're just floating by.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. What is the PIP for?
Performance.
Get rid of someone.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically a way to micromanage someone until they're sick of it and they quit.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
until they make one mistake.
Yeah,
Well,
You're late. You're out of here.
Yep, you're fired.
yeah. I would have been fired a long time ago if you're 1 minute late.
Yeah.
Fire!
So, great. The next question, do you guys agree with the way the company uses their PIPs?
Yes and no. Like, yes, it can get rid of the problem workers. So it's like an easy way to get rid of them, but also no, because it puts everybody under like more stress and pressure. And so when people don't perform as well under pressure sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah.
And if it's a good employee, and for some reason they made a mistake and they're in PIP, I mean, again, like 1 minute late, they're fired. It doesn't give them a chance to really improve. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's good.
I personally don't think PIPs are very good because it sort of just raises the pins and needles for the employees because they know that they're going to be fired in any minute.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it raises the pressure for the employees, and it's just not a good environment to be around.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, do you guys think this manager can make good decisions about these two individuals, or does she seem to be influenced by biases that will be hard to overcome?
I think she'll make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
We'll
Yeah, I
see
agree.
because we're going to read about it later on. Don't get too
She
excited.
she definitely has a strong personality,
Yeah.
but I think it's needed, especially in her role, where she's honest and she wants people just to work hard and to have the knowledge of those things that they're in charge of, not just because they've been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So now the next portion of our discussion is we're going to make decisions about what the manager should do with these two employees. So I'll pick two of you and then two of you for the other person. So Amy, what would you commit to do or commit to tell the manager to do in regards to Terry?
I would probably get rid of him,
Yeah.
even though it might cause like some resentment within the company. I think overall and in the long run, it would be the most beneficial for the company.
How do you think the other employees would react?
I think some of them would probably be mad at like the person that's making the decision, since they kind of hang out with him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think there might be some awkward tension within the company, but it kind of seems like this manager is like, I don't know, like Colton said, she's really strong and she might be like, listen, I don't care what you think of me. This is what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Definitely. Anya, are there any creative options that might work between keeping Terry or firing Terry? What creative options might be there?
You kind of, I guess, can give him one more chance, like give him like a 10-day trial, oh, a month trial, I don't know, and make sure that he understands his responsibilities and what he's supposed to do and what he's expected to do. And if he fails to perform in any of these things, then he's a goner, you know. Make sure that maybe he gets training again for a couple of days, and then you give them or give him that trial. And if he improves and learns quickly, and that would be great. Then the company will have something to gain.
Yeah, definitely. Good insight.
Sorry. I'm going to say that happened at my company recently. We had one of our receptionists, she made a couple mistakes, and so the HR manager told her that they would give her a month to kind of see if she could improve. And after the month, she ended up quitting. So I mean, they didn't have to pay anything out or do anything because they fired her. She ended up quitting. So I mean, you can take it how you want, but that might maybe could be a good option for this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michaela, what would you tell the manager to do in regards to Phil?
To Phil. I think like he's a good guy. He didn't do anything wrong. He just doesn't do his job right. I wonder if there's like another position within the company that you could promote him to or switch him to, and or else like if that won't work, then just let him go and find someone else to take his place.
Yeah. Do you think that would create a backlash with the employees though, because he was disabled and he had liver cancer?
Not really. I don't know.
What do you think, Colton?
I think, especially where he's come back after being sick, and he's just as bad, if not worse, than he was before, and he's had that time to like get better. I feel like he's not measuring up to like his role, and I think he's had plenty of chances. He's been there for a long time, and he knows that management's not happy with his performance.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't perform, and he knew the rules in the company 3 years, and then if you don't get a promotion, you're gone. He's been there since, and so.
I think maybe like the next. Sorry, it's hard because you guys can't see me. I was just gonna say, I think the next step would be just that he comes in and like they sit down with him and tell him like, this is where you're at. This is what we're not happy with your performance. You're not, you've been here with us this long. We've been good to you. We even like took care of your garden when you were sick, and we just want you to, set some goals. And if you can't reach them, then we'll have to, maybe, fire you, or we'll see what happens. But I'd have him come in and like make some goals and just really try to hit those.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Now we're going to go over the reading dismissing employees part 2. Have you guys tried to go into that?
I don't know.
And it's locked. So go there, and then I'll give you the password to get into it.
Okay.
It's just all capitals. T as in toy, T, C as in cat, B as in boy.
That's it?
Uh-huh.
Oh. Wait, wait.
TTCB.
Okay.
2 tough calls B.
There we go. So we could read this on our own or together. What do you guys want to do?
On our own?
On our own?
On our own, yeah. 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
That works.
We do 5. It's only 2 pages.
Yeah, it's short.
Yeah.
Okay.
My computer just loaded to that page. I'm sorry. Was it capital T, lowercase t, CB?
It's all capitals,
All
TTCB.
capital. Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Let me know when you guys are all done, and then we'll talk about it real quick.
I just finished.
I'm done.
Yep.
Almost there. Okay, I'm good.
Awesome. So what do you guys think the manager did well?
I like how she told, was it Terry, that she wasn't gonna do Pip. Like she was like, you deserve more than that. Let's find a better solution. And she was able to find a better solution, and it worked out better for him in the long run.
Yeah, I thought it was really fair. It made it
Yeah.
seem like the manager had the
Mhm.
best interests at mind concerning Terry.
Hmm.
But what about Phil?
Oh, can I add to Terry? Sorry.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like how she didn't put a deadline for him to find a new job. Like she still gave him a chance to like find a new job while he still had this job, and like she didn't put a deadline or pressure. She just gave she held like she made him that he would be accountable for his honesty.
Hmm.
That's pretty much it. I like that.
And then for Phil, they pretty much, well, they replaced Phil's position when he was gone and then just hired him on again when he came back, just as a filler spot. And then he ended up dying after he was diagnosed with
That's so sad.
That's sad, yeah.
a brain cancer. That's really sad. So
Poor
in
guy.
essence, they were, probably knew he was sickly and just decided to wait it out.
Yep.
And on the upside, they didn't get sued for hiring a sick person.
Yeah.
Ew.
So, what did she do that was effective, and what did she do that was not effective? The manager.
I think some of her wording with Terry was a little, maybe a little over the top.
Yeah.
I think that it was good that she didn't do the is it PIP? Is that what it was called? I like how she didn't go that way about it, but how she said like, if I was on your team and I was a top performer, I wouldn't want to be on your team. Or
Yeah, that was
just
harsh.
like some of the stuff like that. It was, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's probably true, but it's
Yeah.
better, honest,
I
but
wouldn't want to be in your
a better
position.
way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes things a little awkward.
Yeah.
I thought she did do effectively the way she approached Terry. It seemed like Terry was happy in the end,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
between the two, there weren't any bad things that happened to the company. So that's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. The final wrap up. What can we learn from this case about making decisions about termination?
You have to be
I
honest.
think there.
Hmm.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
Also, I was gonna say, I think there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration and look at it from their point of view. Like, we might automatically just think, oh, they're not performing up to par. But if they're also sick, they might come back to like try to sue the company and say that we fired them for being sick or um, because of their age or different things like that.
Hmm. There are a lot of things a company needs to realize their limits before they can just go off and fire someone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of laws.
Hmm.
And just to add to that too, I would just say like it's important that as an employer and especially like a manager in HR, like if there's an employee that you suspect, or that who isn't performing up, to expectation, you need to like document that and have it, if they've come in late on this day, have that written down, or like if they're just like that kind of stuff, because later on it could come back and there could be lawsuits or different things.
Yeah. So how can everything we learn help us in a future situation in our careers.
I think for me, if I'm ever in that position, sometimes I have a tendency to not be, I don't know, I guess maybe you could say friendly. Like I just want it to be over with, and so sometimes I'll just be like, okay, listen, you're gonna be fired. But
Yeah.
I like how she handled it and was like, okay, I don't want to do this, so what do you think you could do? And so maybe kind of like taking a step back and putting your emotions aside and seeing what the employee needs best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's awesome. Does anyone else have any input? If not, we'll
I would
close.
say,
Oh.
sorry guys. I would just say like I feel like I'm almost like the opposite. Like sometimes I feel like I go around the obstacle and like try to make it seem like yeah, you're doing bad, but you're doing this good. I think just being honest and just saying like, you know, you're not performing, you're not, you know, hitting these things. We need to help you like get to that point. Let's make some goals and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just
Awesome.
being blunt and being straightforward.
Yeah, being blunt with a mixture of, well, you need to be straightforward when it comes to these things, but still humane, still respecting the employee. So, great. Thanks for all your guys' participation.